these are the biggest fights to make after UFC 317. The card was pretty phenomenal in my opinion. One of the best cards of the year. My voice is completely still shot from it. That's the most I've ever yelled ever. So, phenomenal card, phenomenal fighters, phenomenal fights. Let's start with Robocop. Right, so we're going to talk about mainly the biggest fights. I'm not going to talk about what's next for Hermanson or what's next for Cortez or what's next for Janata Denise. We're going to talk about the big names, right? So, Robocop, right? He flatline KO Jack Hermanson. This one's tricky, but I like this fight. And I think scheduling-wise, it makes sense. Stylistically, it's very fun. I'm not sure if one party would take it, but I know the other one would. That being Robocop versus Act Like Joe Pyfer. Be Joe Pyfer. I love this fight, man. I honestly love the idea of Joe Pyfer versus Robocop because stylistically it's going to stay on the feet. You know, both guys can grapple. Both guys can strike. Both guys can mix it up pretty well. But I just think Joe Pyfer and Robocop, I think it just makes sense. I think scheduling-wise it makes sense. Both guys just fought recently, and neither took a lot of damage at all. So I think this is the fight to make. I get a sneaking suspicion Joe Pyfer wouldn't accept it, though. I think he'd probably look for more like a Bo Nickel or like an Ikram Mascara, which even that would be a bad idea. But I don't know. I think this is a good fight to make, and I think the winner of this should get a top-ranked name at middleweight. The winner of this could be looking at I don't know, Robert Whittaker. I don't fucking know, but I love this fight. Stylistically, it's awesome. You smack that on a pay-per-view. You smack that as even the main event of a fight. Maybe the co-main event. Not a main event, but the co-main event of a fight night in a crowded arena. You smack that as the opener of a pay-per-view. Perfect fight. Now, let's move on to Felipe Lima. Moment of silence for my boy. He lost to Peyton Talbot. Very sad about this. I say we do Felipe Lima versus Gene Matsumoto. I think both guys, they're pretty much have a similar career path where it's 1-2 fights, then lost. Matsumoto, he won 2 fights, and he lost to, I want to say, Rob Font. He lost to Rob Font. And Felipe Lima, he won 2 fights. Now he just lost to Gaten Talbot. So I think this is perfect. I think, it matches up scheduling-wise all right. It's not perfect scheduling-wise, but because, but I wouldn't, Lima didn't take a lot of damage. He's going to want to get back in there. Matsumoto, he didn't take a lot of damage in his last fight. So I think it's a good fight. Not too much to dwell on here. Now, Peyton Talbot, he beat Felipe Lima, sadly. Let's do Peyton Talbot versus Ricky Simone. So I was really surprised to see Ricky Simone is not ranked. I swear he was ranked. I swear he was ranked. He's not ranked. So I think Peyton Talbot versus Ricky Simone is perfect. I think it makes sense. I think scheduling wise it makes sense. I think stylistically it'd be a good fight because I don't know. I think I was thinking, could we do a Talbot versus a Wellmaker? No, Talbot versus maybe an Alexandre Topuria. No, you know what I mean? It's let's give him Ricky Simone. Let's give him the Ricky Simone test. He shouldn't have to fight a Garbrandt. You don't want to put him against another prospect like a Raul Rosas Jr. So I say give him Ricky Simone. Now, Renato Moicano lost to Beneil Dariush. Chandler, there you go. It just makes sense scheduling-wise. Stylistically, it'd be good. Both guys would sell it. I've been calling for Moicano versus Chandler since Chandler lost to, what's his name, Patty. What's the kid's name? Yeah, Patty Pimblett. I've been calling for that fight since then, so I think that's perfect. I think it matches up well. I think both guys would sell it, and I think stylistically it'd be fun. So let's get that, the beginning of next year, maybe January pay-per-view, February pay-per-view, March pay-per-view, whatever. Who cares? Let's just get the unks in there. Now, Beneil Dariush, he beat Renato Moicano. This one is a bit tricky. This one took me a long time to really map out, and I'm still not even sure I want this, but Beneil Dariush versus Dan Hooker. There's no real open spots. There's no real open names for Dan Hooker to face. Dariush, it's him winning is it kind of causes some problems more than it does help anything. Because if Moicano won, you could have done a Moicano Gamrot. You could have done a Moicano someone. It's Dariush already fought Gamrot. I could have done him Fiziev, but I got something for Fiziev. And I just don't really want that for. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't like the Fiziev versus Dariush fight. I do Dariush versus Dan Hooker. I don't like that fight either. But it's just like, well, the alternative is Dariush just sits out for a little while and just sees who's like available. I mean, that's the only other alternative because Dan Hooker should be coming back soon. It's strict. Lightweight is off. I really hate lightweight right now. I really, really, really hate lightweight because I can so see Dariush. Or I could still see Dan Hooker, saying no to Dariush. Like, it's a winnable fight for him, but I could just so see him, oh, Dariush is not a name. I'm not taking that. So that's what I always, when I consider matching up these lightweights, I always have to consider, but who would turn it down? Like, that's the problem, man. I hate lightweight. But nonetheless, Dariush, Dan Hooker, I don't love it, but Dariush winning, it is what it is. I did pick him to win, and I kind of like Dariush. So, look, the fight with Moicano was boring, but it was more Moicano's fault than Dariush's fault. But all jokes aside, let's move on to the feature fight, that being Royval versus Joshua Van. I thought it was a great fight. Obviously, we know what's next for Joshua Van. We'll get to that. Royval, though, this is very tricky. I say, because Royval has been talking about moving to bantamweight, he just lost, right? I don't think Royval, okay, he lost. Now he's going to be looking at, Kai Kara-France? He's going to be looking at Manil Cap. He's going to be looking at what? Like, I say he moves to bantamweight. I say he faces Henry Cejudo. I think it's fair. I don't think there's any clear names for Cejudo to face. I was even thinking doing him Umar, but the scheduling doesn't match up. So him Cejudo. I don't think Cejudo's in a rush to come back. He might still have the eye injury. And I think Royval, again, he wants to move up. He's the number one contender, or was, before Van took that spot. And before we took that spot. And so now I think he's going to move to bantamweight, give him a decent name like a Henry Cejudo. And I honestly think he beats Henry Cejudo because he has wicked takedown defense even still. He's a great striker. He's shown that he has a good chin. He's dynamic. And he could keep at range against a guy like Cejudo and poke at him. I love that fight, to be honest with you. Smack that on a pay-per-view. Even, honestly, a fight night main event is not bad either. Cejudo, Royval, give it to me now. Let's move on to the co-main event. The loser, that being Kai Kara-France. Kai Kara-France, François, oui, oui. Let's do Kai Kara-France versus Manil Cap. Let's just get it over with. Not get it over with in terms of like, but I just want to see that fight, man. Just do it. There's beef. It makes sense. Kai Kara-France, he's coming off of a loss. Manil Cap, it's just, what is Manil Cap doesn't deserve, Manil Cap should be fucking cut, really, for like missing weight, pulling out so many times. But give him Kai Kara-France. It would be a good fight. They would sell it very well. There's not really much to say there. There's real beef. I think scheduling-wise, Manil Cap's probably badly injured, so it's really Manil Cap should be a bantamweight because he's had weight issues and injury issues for so much of his UFC career that I think he should just be a bantamweight or just fucking retire at this point. But I think let's try to make this Kai Kara-France Manil Cap fight. I think that's the fight to make next for both guys. Now, the winner of the co-main event, that being Alexandre Pantoja. Let's do, obviously, him versus, let's say Brandon Moreno. No, him versus Joshua Van, obviously. It's the fight to make. It's a super fight. Not a super fight. It's like a hardcore super fight. Like, that's like the hardcore fans is like McGregor Habib. I love that fight, to be honest with you. That being Joshua Van versus, what's the kid's name? Yeah, Alexandre Pantoja. No, seriously, though. I love that fight. I think it's a phenomenal fight. I think stylistically it'd be good. Or it could just be a pure domination from one or the other. I don't think Pantoja's just going to go in there and sub Van. I don't think Van's going to KO Pantoja. So I think it's just one of those where it's going to be a bit back and forth. I love it as a fight. I think it's excellent. And it's one you can kind of keep in your back pocket, I think that's what they did with Pantoja versus Kara-France. Like, that's a fight they were considering putting on, 316, then they were considering putting on 318. It's just one that they kept in their back pocket, all right, guys, be ready. We might need you for one of these bigger cards. And I think you could do the same for this fight. You could have this be the co-main event of, Ilia's next title defense, or, even I was going to say Ankalaev Pereira, but they'll probably save this for next year. So, Ilia, Merab main eventing against Sandhagen as a Merab and Sandhagen as a pay-per-view main event's a bit risky, but I'd rather see Van and Pantoja could main event a pay-per-view if they really, really stack the undercard, but they're not going to do that. So you could have that be the co-main event of Ilia's next title defense. If DDP or Chimaev win, we'll see what happens there. There's a lot of champions is the point. So we will see what happens, but I think Pantoja Joshua Van is going to be pure violence, and that's the fight to make. It's one of the most hyped up fights. I would be fucking creaming my pants. Now, let's move on to the loser. Charles. No, let's move on to the loser of the main event, that being Charles do Bronx Oliveira. Yeah. I really just want him to retire. If it was up to me, retire. Really, please just retire. Like, retire. I was even saying, what if he just moves up to welterweight? But there's just no clear names for him, and it's just, at this stage of your career, moving up to welterweight is just a bit weird. But then again, at this stage, still trying to make weight at 155 is also risky. Him versus Fiziev, man. I know, but it's like, it's still a good fight. I think it's winnable. I was considering doing just maybe him Gamrot. I don't know. You guys would rather see that? I mean, it's more winnable for him. But I don't know. I can see Gamrot low-key beating Charles Oliveira, guys. This is the problem with Charles Oliveira. I could just see him losing to a lot of guys, man. I really can. He's kind of an enigma. I didn't say the N-word. Where it's tricky to see, like, all right, he could beat a Fiziev, but then he'll lose to a Gamrot. It's just weird, man. I love Charles Oliveira, but there's not a lot of... You could do the Holloway fight, but it's like Holloway should be looking up. You know, here's the thing as well. I think, and we might get to this in the main event, and this might kind of... Or not the main event, but regarding the main event winner, that being Ilia. We'll get to this. But I think Max Holloway winning could actually help a couple of issues with lightweight. But Charles Oliveira, Rafael Fiziev, sometime early next year, maybe... The thing is the scheduling of it, right? The scheduling is not perfect. I think maybe if Fiziev fights one more guy, wins another fight, in the meantime, Charles will probably sit out, recover from the KO. Then you could still make that fight. It's like, it is what it is. Charles is not going to fight probably till like summer of next year, if I had to guess, or like spring of next year. So it just depends. Charles Oliveira, Fiziev, to me, that's the next fight to make. Sadly, I really just want to see Charles retire, but it is what it is. There's not a lot of easy fights for him, unless you want to give him Dariush in a rematch or something. But let's move on to the one, the only, the greatest fighter in the history of combat sports, Ilia Topuria. Yes, I said that he was going to do it. He did do it. We did it. And I think Ilia Topuria, now, I don't really have one name. I really think he should just fight. What I think they should do is this. I think Ilia should sit out. Right? I think they should hold Ilia off until early next year, January, February, March, right? I think what should happen is they should get these four. If Max wins, right? Because Max winning could actually help this a little bit. Max, Paddy, Gaethje, Arman, right? So Max, Paddy, Gaethje, Arman. And what you could do is try to just match up a combination of those four guys. So you could do Max versus Paddy, Arman versus Gaethje. But even then, that kind of causes problems because then it's like, well, if Gaethje beats Arman and Paddy beats Max, then then you got to choose who to give it to. It's a bit tricky. It's actually very, very tricky. I think maybe what you could just do is, do you just do Arman versus Paddy and give Gaethje the title shot? Because it's like, Gaethje is probably actually going to retire the way he's talking. He's a millionaire. He doesn't need to fight anymore. He's taken so much damage, and he doesn't want to fight if it's not for a belt, right? He's a bitch. He's a pussy. He doesn't deserve to even get a title shot. But it's like, it shouldn't be Paddy. It should not be Paddy next. It should not fucking be Paddy. And I don't think Dana wants it to be Paddy the way he's talking. I don't think Dana wants it to be Arman. And I don't think Dana wants it to be Gaethje either. This is the problem. I think you have to, I think, and this is what I saw MMA Guru say, you got to just call up all three, and whoever says yes, make them fight. Whoever says no, they could just fuck off. Really, or they could face Max Holloway. That's, I don't know, right? So you call Paddy and Arman, let's say, you call Paddy, Arman, Gaethje. Paddy and Arman say yes, Gaethje says no. Okay, Gaethje, you can just either sit out, or here's Max Holloway again. And then Paddy and Arman can fight, which you guys know I want that fight next. I think that's perfect. I think you got a guy who's like almost a number one contender in Paddy, and a guy with Arman who Arman is the number one contender, but he doesn't deserve the next title shot because he's an idiot who missed weight, which Dana accidentally revealed, or maybe on purpose at this point. He doesn't even give a fuck, it seems. So they should face each other, and Gaethje should fuck off. So that's what I would do. Just a combination of those guys fighting, honestly. So it is what it is. I don't want to see Paddy jump over any of these guys. I don't want to see Arman. I mean, if I really had to pick, I'd give it to Arman. If it was up to me, personally. I would rather the Paddy fight. I would even rather the Gaethje fight. But I just think Arman, I mean, would I give it to, I would give it to Arman. But this is I'm not like, Arman doesn't deserve it, though. Like, he did miss weight. He did fuck up an entire card, and he has been super inactive. The division has moved on. You know, the division has really moved on since Arman's last win, which was Charles Oliveira, who just got flatlined. So this is the problem, man. They just need to sort this out, match up these guys. That's what I would do with Ilia. That's what I would do with all the guys at UFC 317. I think it was a tremendous card. I think these are some pretty good fights. You know, I think the UFC should hire me, all right? So make sure you guys like and sub. Become a member in the description. Do you guys like the fights I've put together? If not, then you can tell me to go fuck myself in the comments. See you guys. And Ilia Topuria just KO'd your favorite fighter. Ha ha, peace.